Good afternoon, students. Yes, we now shift to another area, and we are going to talk about business ethics, what business ethics entail, what it comprises. We are strictly going to move direct to the concept of business ethics. That is lecture number 5. So we give the purpose of this course or the training is that to train attendees on ethical issues at the workplace, then explain how to manage business ethics. Business ethics. So that's the purpose of the training. So let's give or talk about business ethics and demonstrate how this concept is perceived by individuals. So we first begin by talking about ethics. So these are principles, values, and these principles and values define what is right and wrong behavior. We have mentioned that in the previous lesson. It is ethics are stated by the law, custom, and the public opinion. So the law, the custom, and the public opinion state ethics. And we are also saying that ethical behavior may differ from society to society. They differ or they vary from one society to the other. Then ethical standards are ideal for human conduct. They are ideal for human conduct. Ethical standards are ideal for human conduct. And there's no accurate definition of ethical standards. There's no accurate definition of ethical standards. It keeps on varying from one society and a community to the other. I take you to another area, and this is an area I want us to explore. I want you to look at that photo there. There is a photo, just take some time, look at the photo, get to understand what the photo talks about, then we shall proceed. Now, that was a detailed photo, and you can see that drawings, there is a concept of basic business ethics keywords. So the keywords in business ethics are morality. So you have the question of morality, behavior, trust, reliability, responsibility, principle, relationship, and the choice. So these are some of the key components, key terms that are evident or that are used in business ethics. They're the key terms that are used in business ethics. So human beings need to be moral in business, both the client and the businessman. Behavior, good behavior should be demonstrated. You need to be trustful as a businessman. Reliability, reliable, you need to be reliable as a businessman or business lady. Responsibility, not to be responsible. Then you get to principle. You have the principles, good relationship, choice, make right choices, make the right choices. We have the photo, and I want you to look at it again. Look at that photo. Though it's not clear with some words, but I hope from your end you can see a few words indicated there. So on this photo, I want to give you some time again and look at that photo. Since we are talking about business ethics, then it's good that you look at what we call company culture. Business ethics is about the company culture, and I take some 2-3 minutes, look at the photo, read through what you can, try to understand what is presented on that diagram. Then I will mention them in those issues in passing. Now you can see that a photo. That's a photo I've asked you to look at it. That photo has a number of items or issues, writings, of course. We have the key aspect here is we are looking at the company culture. And when you talk of the culture of an institutional organization, and here we are talking about the company, then we are revolving around what we refer to as business ethics. So the company culture can focus on the attitude of the workers, achievement, the general culture of people, the content, time management. Members need also to set goals. So goals are set in the company. There should also be a question of people getting information, advertising, another aspect of company culture. There are clients, aspirations of the company, the solutions to problems, leadership. There is need also to carry out research in the company to find out which products should be sold at the moment. Growth of the company is also key. Members should ensure that there is growth of the company. Marketing, people should market the organization. Opportunity, what are the opportunities for the company? The support by the employees, support by the NGO, networking with the other people within the company. The employee mission, what is the mission of the employee? Employees should also be innovative, among others. They should be creative, they should consult, they should have mentors and the coaches. So the company culture generally talks about a number of things. And those items briefly summarize what the company culture is all about. So this is just a summary of what a company culture looks like, but there is a lot that companies put in place as their culture. The culture of one company might differ from the other company with the reasons. There are reasons towards this. So we move on and we look at the characteristics of business ethics. Now that you have talked about the company culture, let's look at the characteristics of the business ethics. What are some of these characteristics? So business ethics are truly based on social values as the generally accepted norms of good or bad, right and wrong practices. So these social values of demonstrating what is good or bad, right and wrong practices are what business ethics is all about. So business ethics is also based on social customs. The society comes up with the customs, there are traditions, there are standards and all other attributes. Social customs, traditions, standards, and all other attributes. It may also determine the way and the means for better and optimum business performance. So business ethics is about the determination of the way and even the means for better and optimum business performance. It provides basic guidelines and the parameters towards most appropriate perfections in the business scenarios. So these are some of the characteristics of business ethics. So when you talk about the business ethics, then we are focusing on the social values that determine what is good, bad, right or wrong, customs, traditions, and standards of the business, ways and means for better and optimum business performance, then providing guidelines and parameters towards most appropriate perfections in business scenarios. Then business ethics may be an art as well as a science also. So it can be an art because art or a social aspect of art revolves around people. So business ethics revolves around humanity. That's why we're talking about art and it being a science. So business ethics also to motivate the views of the customer. So you look at this characteristic as a motivation to the views of the customer. What did the customer proposes? Sometimes customers they propose certain things in a business. So business managers need to take consideration of the views of the customer. Say, for example, customers can come in the organization, then they say that customers need this product in your shop or in the market. So as a businessman, then you need to listen to the view given by the customer. Then you work so hard to ensure that that particular commodity is provided in the shortest time possible so that you don't end up losing the customers. So customers have options, they have alternatives, and they can give those options and alternatives, those views on how to run the business better. So it's up to you as a businessman to work so hard to ensure that those views are taken into consideration. So then business ethics shows better ways for most excellence in customization. So it demonstrates aspect of excellence in an organization. It also aims to emphasize more on the social responsibility of business towards society. So social responsibility of business towards society is also emphasized. Now, let's look at the elements of business ethics. What does business ethics encompass? What are the components? What are the aspects of business ethics? We're going to look at those elements or aspects one after the other. So it should have a code of conduct to reflect the management's desire to incorporate the values and the policies of the organization. Code of conduct, code of behavior, code of ethics, very important. So a code of conduct demonstrates what is expected of the employees, what is expected of the workers within that organization or company or organization. It should have that demonstration of how the employees need to behave. Then ethics committee is formed. So there should be an ethics committee formed at board level and management committee. And these committees evaluate the compliance of the organization with standards. They evaluate the compliance of the organization with the standards. So there should be an ethics committee, both at the board level and the management committee level. And these committees within ethics evaluate how people are compliant to the organization standards. Then an ethical communication system helps the employees in making inquiries and getting advice if needed. So there should be an ethical communication system to help the employees in making inquiries and getting advice if needed, getting advice if the advice is needed. Then the job of an ethical officer is to communicate and implement policies and develop a reputation for credibility, integrity, honesty, and the most important, that is responsibility. So there should be an ethical officer to communicate and implement policies and develop a reputation of credibility and integrity, honesty, among other things. So there should be an ethical officer who coordinates these activities of reputation, credibility, integrity, and honesty. So the company or organization should come up with such a position. Then next is that there is need to have an ethics training program to understand the ethical issues that are likely to arise in the workplace. ethics training. Ethics training is very important to the workers. Then a disciplinary system is also important to supervise all the works. Disciplinary system, so you need to set up a disciplinary system to supervise all the duties. Ombudsperson is responsible to help coordinate the development of policies and procedures to institutionalize moral values in the workplace. So there should be somebody who is just responsible in coordinating the development of policies and the procedures. Then surveys are important to make an ethical program. So you do some surveys to come up with an ethical program. So apart from the elements of ethics, then let's look at the principles of business ethics. So there should be a conscience which is based on the inner feelings of a person to detect the wrong or right. So the conscience of somebody should help someone detect what is right and wrong, what is bad and good. So then wish less work. This means that there is no need to perform all the tasks to be self-centered or be self-interest. So you don't perform all the tasks. Tasks should be shared. Duty should be shared to other people. We have the question of publicity. All activities should be well informed to every person attached in business. It aims to remove the doubtfulness and the misunderstanding among people. Publicity. So the question of publicity is also key here. Then a spirit, that all activities should be based on values and service motive in a business. So all the activities that you are carrying out should be based on values and service motive in business. So businessmen should give due attention to make the best possible services, and they try to develop a feeling of devotion and the truthfulness in business in services. We have the concept of purity. Another principle is purity. This revolves around politeness. Truthfulness are the ways to mental peace and purity. It is most needful that every businessman should follow the concept of purity, to be polite, to be truthful, so that he gets what we call mental peace and mental purity. We have the question of humanity. Humanity is also very key. Humanity is important here. We are saying that you respect human moral values, decorum, aspects in their policies, programs, and the different working areas. And it's therefore needful that every businessman should follow human values. To follow human values and determine the path of humanity. So respect human moral values, decorum, aspects in their policies, programs, and the different working areas. Therefore, it's needful that every businessman should follow human values and determine the path of humanity. That is very important. We have the question of transparency. Transparency, a very important concept, transparency, being transparent. So the transaction that you carry out should be well informed in a justified manner with the different stakeholders in society. So you need to be clear. You need to be transparent so that you don't do things. Transparency is about doing things in the open. You don't hide certain issues, certain things. You be open. No hiding. Then we have liking in expectations. So in order to establish the ethical norms and the conduct in business, it is required to follow all these good and acceptable behavior by businessmen. So you follow the good and acceptable behavior, norms, or the conduct of people. Then we are also talking about the due process. All businessmen or business ladies are required to involve the decision-making process in the different important tasks. So you involve all the players involved in decision-making process in the important tasks. So that's what we are referring to as the due process. You involve everybody in decision-making in the different important tasks. So coordinate ends and means. So businessmen should try to make a coordinating and or balancing form between their ends and means within their work performance and its allied activities. So you coordinate the ends, the beginning of the duty, and the means how the activities are performed or carried out. So you need to coordinate those activities. We have also the question of satisfaction. So create an environment that establishes pleasure and happiness with the other person in the society at large. So create an environment whereby the people get pleasure, they are happy with others in this with others in the society at large. Another principle is cooperation with others. People need to cooperate with others. So ethical norms motivate the feeling of collaboration and team spirit. So there is the question of cooperation, which comes very handy here. Cooperation is very important. So people need to cooperate with each other. Then non-cooperation in evils. So it's needful that businessmen should try to make non-cooperation or discourage the evils, misconduct, and unethical behavior, not only with different customers, but with the society also. So there should be non-cooperation in evil, so you don't cooperate in coming up or creating evils within the society. Evils should be avoided. Communicability. So according to this principle, there is a need to make effective means of communication with the internal and external persons as engaged in business. So communication is the way or the means in which we talk to each other. Communication is the way in which people share information. Communication is the passing of information from one person to the other. And the communication has elements like the sender of the information, the channel that is used, the receiver of the information, the feedback. So those are some of the elements of communication, but it's also very important that these elements work in unison. Now, say for example, in this case, you are having the businessman. So the businessman might be the sender of the information. Businessman is the sender of the information. Then the receiver of the information should be the client, or what we are referring to as the customer. So there's need to have effective communication, both internally and externally within the organization or within the business. So communication is paramount to a good business or a successful business. We have the concept of rationality. So based on the ethical conduct code of conduct, every businessman should analyze and self-evaluate the good or bad, right or wrong, ethical and unethical aspects within their business transaction and the day-to-day working of the business hour. So rationality is about making an assessment. You make an assessment, you evaluate what is bad, what is good, what is right, what is wrong, and ethical or unethical aspects within the business. So that's being rational in business ethics as the next principle. Then commitment. So according to this principle, every businessman should be able to fulfill their commitments and assurance as given to other people. So commitment is very important. And according to this principle, every businessman ought to fulfill their commitments and assurances within the organization. We have also another concept which is called universal values. Every businessman should conduct and perform the task and the different business activities to be based on universal assumptions, custom, and overall accepted norms and principles. So these values, also called customs, norms, and principles, universal assumptions, should be taken into consideration when conducting or carrying out business activities in a society. So you need to conduct the business based on the norms, values, universal assumptions, customs, accepted principles, etc. So let's look at the importance of business ethics. What are the importance of business ethics? Importance of business ethics. Why should we have business ethics? Why should we take into consideration the concept of business ethics? So business ethics controls business malpractice. Any unfair means of business is controlled, like legal importation and exportation is also a kind of business. So it controls malpractice such as illegal importation of goods, illegal exportation of goods, etc. So then number two, there is better relationship with employees. When a business is running, the bonding between colleagues should be very strong. So better relationship with employees is also very key. So you need to relate well with the employees. Then number three, improve customer satisfaction. If the customer gets his or her desire fulfilled, then he can act as a station which will spread and automatically advertise the policies. So customer satisfaction is very key, it's very important here, and you need to improve the customer satisfaction by all means. By all means, improve the customer satisfaction. Then you need to have better decision making. Better decision making. How do you make your decisions? So if heads and officials are good at pointing, good at imagining they will make the best decision for the company, and also develop the company's policies. So the heads of the institution should make good policies should be made. Then next is the protection of the society is the most important thing because society plays a vital role in business ethics. So the society should be protected. The business that you carry out should not cause harm to the society, to the community. So businesses that are illegal might cause some form of harm to the community at large. So it's very important that businessmen take into consideration that aspect to deal with the forms of business that are not good, that are not beneficial to the society. So next is survival of new business. It's only possible when the person is optimistic and brave. So survival of new business. The person should be optimistic and brave. So optimism is very key here. You need to be optimistic and you need to be brave to the business so that the new business survives. We move on to another aspect, safeguarding consumer rights. Safeguarding the consumer rights. These are rights for consumer, and every consumer should know them very well. So there are rights of the consumer that need to be communicated to the consumers very well. Ensure that they are well communicated to the consumers so that consumers do not get frustrated. So those aspects of the rights of the consumer should be communicated. Well, what is the role of consumer in business that we don't have? The rights of the consumer, and every consumer should know them very well. So this creates a good image that enhances the reputation of the businessman and it leads to greater success in the field of business. The field of business. Then we are also saying that the smooth functioning of all the elements is mandatory. If it is not, one will not get the desired outcome. So all aspects or forms of business activities need to be collaborative. They need to work in harmony. It's very important that there should be a harmonious and a smooth coordination of these activities so that they function in a quite smooth manner. So then consumer movement and the flexibility also leads to greater and successful trading. So if the consumers are given the best mode of movement, they're all flexible with your business, then it leads to successful trading. Successful trading in an organization or in a company, in an institution, among others. Now then we move on to the other area. So the importance and the crucial role of labor is also another importance. So labor plays the most important role. They are the backbone of any business. So skilled labor is the reason why a specific business is present in the market. So it also leads to a health competition. So there is the question of health competition between all the participants. All the people who are in the field of business must follow this for smooth and pure business. So business ethics leads to healthy competition in an organization. People compete without having trouble with each other. There is no trouble with each member of the business. You can also design the disaster management process to act efficiently when unavoidable circumstances occur. So you design the disaster management process to act efficiently when unavoidable circumstances occur. So the business ethics is also important because of it helps us to design the disaster management process for purpose of acting efficiently when the unavoidable circumstances take place. Now we move on, we shift to the summary of our discussion here. I want you to look at the summary in 2 minutes and see if whatever we have talked about is related to the summary that I've given here. Look at that summary, read through those elements, read the elements keenly, take time, read through. Now, I hope you have looked at the summary very keenly. We have the concept of teamwork, ethics, goals, core values, vision, mission, trust. These are some of the issues that we have been repeating in our discussions, in our lessons. So we have the core values. What are some of these core values? We have the value of respect, the trust, cooperation, determination, honesty, diligence, commitment. Those are the core values. We can also have ethics, teamwork, coming together, goals, set goals and objectives to work towards achieving them. There is the question of trust, mission, and even vision. So these are some of the aspects that are important in business ethics. As we have seen, we have talked about some of them. So in our lesson today, we have talked about business ethics. We have looked at the importance of business ethics. We have looked at the definition of what business ethics is. We have also demonstrated the principles of business ethics, among others. So we move on. I just want to highlight something here.
Much more intense, I feel. And that's public expectation.
So listen to that video playing that discussion.
So listen to that in that discussion. So listen to
business and of
Actually, with the speech of Peter Buenos Aires. I share quotes from 19th century Japanese philosopher. He said like economics without ethics is a crime. Ethics without economics is a fun.
I always consider that very basic or value. Because no matter how smart you are or how capable you are, if you have a big problem.
If you're dealing with me as a financial professional, your job as a financial professional, if I were the other side of the table, the two layers of ethics in our profession. The first layer is do the work with quality, and that's professional foundation. And the second layer is to tell the truth and to be transparent in the financial information.
If we find somebody doing something right, they actually also have the responsibility to voice it, to challenge it. It's not something so line by line, it's not something that's place by place. You've got to apply your professional judgment to those circumstances and reach an ethical conclusion.
I really cannot think of any job should be performed without ethics.
Now you have listened to that a short clip, though had some noise at one point, but they are talking about business without ethics is not business. Business without integrity is not business. So you need to work very well. You need to ensure that there is a concept of ethics being emphasized at the workplace, at the job, among other institutions. So ethics is very key in business, and then you need to consider that. So let's stop there for today. We stop our session.